You're listening to the SClubBeat with Dale and Katey.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the SClubBeat. I'm your marvelous host, Katey.
I'm Dale.
Yeah, you're just Dale.
I'm just Dale.
Get a thesaurus. It helps.
I don't care that much. I'm just Dale. Everyone knows me.
Yeah. So, what do we got up today, Dale?
We have our episode 2 revisit of LA7 or SClub7 in LA, depending on your territory, Katey. And
we have the lovely Jess back.
We love Jess.
I'm excited.
Jess is amazing.
Hello, friend.
Hi, Jess.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Welcome back to the SClubBeat. You are the first guest we've ever had 5 times.
I love it. That's so great.
So, as many members of S-Club that there are present day, you've been there that many times.
Good comparison.
Thank you. And we all have matching shirts on. Everybody look at our shirts. We all got them at the Good Times Chicago show. Katey was an outlier. When she started this episode, she was not wearing an S-Club shirt because she does not love S-Club the same way Jess and I do. She just doesn't.
I had already wore this shirt for another episode, so I went with
worn
the
this shirt for several episodes, Katey. No one cares. No one cares.
I do.
It's fine. It's fine, Katey.
I said 1 second, and I put my shirt
We
on.
will replace you for the next season of the show since you don't love S-Club that much. Jess is the new I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't start. Don't start.
No.
So today we're going over the 4 additional episodes of LA7 or SClub7 in LA, depending on your territory. We will be going over the news, Prom, Housesitting, and Mr. Muscle. And before we jump into any of these episodes, do y'all have anything that you want to say?
LA is the best.
LA7 is the second best. The second
On
best.
record,
The first.
it is the best season.
Okay, so is Gangsta Love, Katey. I'm glad that Katey and Jess. Gangsta Love for the win.
How about that?
Okay, so anyway.
But it is the funniest. We at least agree on it being the funniest.
I don't know. There's several Hollywood 7 moments that echo in my head, so that are more funny. And I did career choices off of LA7. So, Katey, did you want to get us started with the news?
I will.
Fantastic.
So, the news, we have 3 storylines going on. We got Paul's dating life. We have Tina and Hannah trying to impress some surfers. And we have Joe trying to sleep, which is not successful.
Sleeping. I love sleeping so much.
So we start off with Paul. He's getting ready for his date. He's very nervous. And the band are just making fun of him about dating the news lady. She comes in, and immediately every time she talks, she talks like she's on the news, and you hear the news melody.
Boating on the lake, great success. Dinner at an Italian restaurant, overpriced. And finally, a walk on the beach.
Great.
So they go on the date. I'm assuming it went well. They come back, and John and Tina are in Paul and John's room chatting. So Paul wants to sleep. So he goes in Joe's room, and Joe tries to talk to him about maybe she's not right for you, and he falls asleep snoring. So it's her first day of not being able to sleep. And side note, do you notice, of course, Dale, you won't notice because you didn't watch.
I did. I have watched it, just not recently.
Did you notice what's above Joe's bed?
No.
Did you notice, Jess?
No.
There's a red Chevy.
Is there?
Is it a picture?
There's a little... No, it's a replica, a model.
I love that.
Yeah, of the red Chevy with the white trunk.
Oh,
yeah, it's above her bed.
Back to the
so cute.
Yeah. So.
Good eye.
Yeah. Let's see, where am I at here?
Joe not being able to sleep.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, though, I wanted to note, this is the second time that Paul has dated an older woman.
Yeah, because we have the dolphin lady in Miami.
Yeah. And technically Joni. I mean, that wasn't an official date, but
maybe
he likes his older women.
Maybe Paul has a thing for older women.
Mm-hmm.
They're more mature, apparently. Because, he was not. His character was not. He was the goofball, so...
Goofy man.
Maybe the older women like the goofball to make them feel young again.
Maybe I should start dating older people.
Do what?
Maybe I should start dating older people. Maybe that's where I've gone wrong in my life.
Old people are in their 40s, though, for me. Like, older people, that means I have to go into the 40 bracket.
That's the same for all of us, Katey? I think all of us...
I know, but I'm not prepared to be in the 40s.
No.
Well, I only have 5 more years, so...
Until what?
4.
I turned 40.
Oh, okay. I'm like, until what happens? Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, back to the episode. The next day, Rachel, Hannah, and Tina are on the beach, just casually strolling along, and Rachel sees an advertisement for a surfing championship, so she decides, hey, let's see if we can perform there. So she goes and asks the event person, and Tina and Hannah see some surfers, so they go over and decide to flirt with them, and say they are actually surfers when they aren't, just to impress the surfer dudes that aren't really, they aren't really that cute anyways. Like, not worth it. Nope. So, that night, did I go too far? So before that night, they talk in the living room about, they're excited about the gig, and what songs should we sing, and Joe is asleep. So, poor Joe. She just wants to sleep. So they wake her up, and she said she was up all night because Paul was snoring, and they said that Paul doesn't snore, but now he does a lot of things that he used to. And speak of the devil, he walks in the door looking all posh, in a suit with his little glasses, because Linda said he looks better like this. So, of course, they're trying to talk to him again, saying Linda's not right about everything. And Tina and Hannah chime in saying, that, it's pathetic to change your whole image for a date, which, irony. But irony, that's exactly what they are doing. So they go up and they're going to get ready for their date. And we see later on, they're in their wetsuits in the living room trying to act like they're surfing. And here walks in Bradley with some Big Macs, but it's spelled M-A-Q to get away from the copyright, which previously, when they were talking in the living room, John was eating his corn parps instead of corn pops. And I believe in Mr. Muscle, maybe, we see the zits instead of Ritz, which is weird because you would have thought the logos are similar enough that it would still be copyright.
No.
But you would think so, but...
Not how copyright works at all, Katey.
Well, news to me, but I thought so. But, yeah. So, they're eating their Big Macs, but Paul doesn't want his. He says that Linda says, they're not good for him.
They're not.
So, Linda this, Linda that, blah, blah, blah.
Linda.
So, that evening, did I interrupt you, JL? I'm sorry.
No, I just said I kind of hate that name.
Linda?
Yeah, I don't love that.
Is it like a Karen?
Yeah. It's like an old woman. Watch there be a Linda listener, and now we're getting hate comments.
We're sorry Linda.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, after they eat their Big Macs, they go to bed, and John decides to enter Joe and Tina's room to chat to Tina this time. So, Joe's like, don't you people ever sleep? And they're like, no, we just talk all night. So she leaves her bed and goes to Hannah and
This is
Rachel's
ironic.
room.
This is ironic because last weekend, S Club did a gig at the racehorses, and there's like a video of John and Joe just singing in
Up.
bed, like karaokeing. So like
All night long, yeah.
20 years ago, Joe's like, don't y'all ever shut up. And now Joe and John are the one in bed not shutting up.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I've always loved those two. Like, they have great chemistry. So Joe goes into Hannah and Rachel's room and discovers it's a pigsty. Like, clothes everywhere. And she said that she can't sleep here because she needs to see carpet. And, of course, Hannah's like, do we have carpet? And Rachel's like, I don't know. So Joe fixes the whole room, cleans it all up, goes to sleep, wakes up. It's entirely destroyed again.
They got dressed this morning.
Yeah. They're like, we got up, got dressed, made a tiny bit of a mess. Which, no way is that. Yeah, just a little bit of a mess. She's like buried in the clothes. Like, that looks like my room. Like, she would not like my room. So everybody's ready to go. They go to the beach. And I guess they're rehearsing for the gig is what they're supposed to be doing. And Tina and Hannah see their surfer dudes. So they go over and try to chat and flirt with them again in their wetsuits. And their surfers convince them to show them how to surf. So they get in the water, like, yeah. And they fail. They obviously get caught up in their lie, and they say that they're not real surfers. The boys say, see you later. They are at the cafe, just chit-chatting, chilling, because, nobody has jobs. You'd think that would help with rent, by the way. But no, that don't happen. Here comes Miss Linda. She says, here are the plans for this evening, and this is what we're going to do. And Paul says, no, I have a band gig. And she says that the band's never going to make it. So he should leave the band. And that is all for now. See you at 7:00 or something. Signs off like the news again. That pisses off all the band.
Because they're never going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-doubt.
Everybody says.
We see it later on in the episodes. They keep mentioning and they're frustrated that they're never going to make it. So
everybody keeps telling them that. It's kind of rude.
At some point they go to a psychic. And they're like, no.
It goes to that night, and Joe is now sleeping in the living room. John and Tina are chit-chatting in their room again. At this point, just give John and Tina their own room and Joe can't go with Paul because he'll be snoring. She goes in the living room, tries to sleep. Bradley starts sleep talking. So she wakes him up, tells him, to shush. He goes back to sleep. Then he starts sleep singing. She wakes him up, tells him to shush. They go back to sleep. Then he starts sleep dancing. And she's like, you're more active at night than you are during the day. That's because he sleeps all day. She gets him to go back to sleep again, and he wakes up and is running the vacuum. So now he's sleep cleaning.
Good for Bradley, though,
Well, like he says, you can't say that he doesn't do his part of the housework.
You can't say that because he does it.
Yeah.
Just at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah. That's why he sleeps in the living room by himself. They head to the beach to do the gig, and here comes Linda again. Wah, wah.
She won't go away.
And
oops.
Nope.
That's a Miami reference for anyone who doesn't get it.
I did get that one.
Okay.
Paul finally stands up to Linda and says, no, I'm going to perform in the band, and you're going to watch. They perform the second Bradley solo song. 2 in a row for Brad. They do Spiritual Love. They perform awesomely on the beach. The waves crashing behind them. Seems like it'd be a nice, cool breeze. And they get done. Linda said she's wrong. And that Paul should stay with the band. And Paul's happy about that. The surfer dudes say they were wrong. But Tina and Hannah say, nah. You're lame. You're too lame. Goodbye. Joe finally gets to sleep. And she decides to sleep on the balcony outside. Because that's the only place they could get some rest. Or she could get some rest.
Beautiful.
So-
Yeah,
I'm
no
very
one
proud of
will-
Paul for not leaving. I'm very proud of Paul for not leaving because everyone else left.
He didn't pull a
Ooh.
Rachel.
He doesn't pull. Well, Paul does leave in our differences, or Paul pushes Bradley out, so he forces someone else to leave. And then Paul does leave in Viva, so we're not gonna talk about Paul leaving. You know, who are the only ones
Okay.
who haven't left the band?
John, Joe, Tina. Hannah never left the band, though.
I think we might have. No, I don't think so either.
So it's just been Rachel, Bradley, and Paul.
It tracks. In the LA7 book that I have here, LA7, the S Clubbers do comment on the songs that are in the episodes. And for John, he says, check out Joe's vocals on this one. Spiritual Love was actually first recorded by the cool soul outfit Urban Species, and it's definitely one of the highlights on our new album 7. Bradley shares the lead vocals with Joe on this track, and I have to say that the first time I heard it, I was completely blown away. We shot the scene where we perform it down on Zuma Beach, where it's definitely one of the best days we've had in LA. John loves Spiritual Love. I love Spiritual Love. Does everyone on this podcast love Spiritual Love?
Yes.
Go stream Spiritual Love. We didn't even get Jess's opinion. Do you love Spiritual Love, Jess?
I say I'd like it. I wouldn't love it.
Okay. But you can now stream Spiritual Love everywhere streaming is available on the Never Had a Dream Come True single. Does anyone have any final thoughts on the news?
No. I think it's
No?
a good one.
No.
I think it's good. Yeah, go ahead.
I just love Spiritual Love. Like, it's such a good song.
I didn't
So-
realize it was a cover.
Yeah. So is Stand By You.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you...
I gotta Google these original songs.
Yeah, I would 10 out of 10 recommend it. Jess, did you want to go over Prom for us?
Yeah, definitely. This episode opens up with Rachel, Bradley, John, Hannah, and Paul at the beach. And Rachel gets asked out by a character named Sam to go to his high school's prom. And Rachel agrees because she thinks that he's cute. And side note, I also think he's very cute.
He
And
ain't no senior. Like, come on. That is not
yeah,
a
I think
senior in high
definitely
school.
Looks like he's like a sophomore in college at best.
I
looks
know
older.
who the actor is. I'm going to Google how old he was in, 2000?
He was the same
Okay,
age as
you can-
Rachel, I think. I think they were born around the same year. For those of you who don't know, he's actually a pretty I wouldn't say super well-known actor, but he's definitely been in a lot of stuff. His name is Geoff Sluts, and he's been in some pretty mainstream stuff. The last thing I saw him in was on Apple TV's The Last Thing He Told Me, which is with Jennifer Gardner. And he's also in Little Fires Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon. So he's had some pretty decent roles in the past couple years, which is cool.
Good for him. Think of how many
Yeah.
people got their start on an S Club series.
Linda Blair.
I know.
No, just
Linda
kidding.
Blair, Barry Williams. Like, no one would know who these people were without S Club, you know?
Yes, he was born in 77. So, yeah, 23 years old, playing an 18-year-old.
I mean,
But
it's
he
not that
looks-
uncommon.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon, but he definitely looks like a college guy, not a senior. But
Wow.
oh well. Oh well. So the next scene takes place at the Venice Cafe, where Jody and the band start talking about experiencing love at first sight. Joe had love at fifth sight, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Do you guys know what that means?
So
The 5 dates to decide she's in love.
yeah, and like it's you meet someone 5 times before you realize, there's nothing better out there, you know? Yeah, love at fifth sight. It's not that far fetched, Jess, especially in today's world.
No, it's not. It's not, but it didn't click the first time I watched it. I was like, fifth sight, what does that mean? Rachel had love at third sight, and Jody had love at zero sight because she met him on the internet. It's actually fair. I mostly agree with Paul. Paul said that he had hate at first sight.
So, yeah, I I agree with Paul on this.
As soon as
And
he
not
said,
so
I was
bad
like,
by
"That's
third.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like,
Me and
hey,
Dale had hate at first sight.
So, do y'all believe in love at first sight?
I think I do.
Hmm.
I think I do.
I would, but I don't trust it.
I do believe in love at first sight. Like, I've met someone and be like, I love you. I mean, obviously I
Yeah.
didn't say that, but like in the back of my head, I was planning a wedding. But
Oh,
like,
yeah. 100%. It happened not so long ago. I was like, wow, yes.
yeah. I mean, obviously those never work out. Like Katey said, you're not supposed to trust it. But in that moment, it's very consuming. And then like after it comes to an end, you look back on it. It's like, what did I even love? Like, it's not like those rose-colored glasses just kind of fall off. So I like Katey. I believe in love at first sight. I just don't trust it.
Yeah.
So
Well-
don't make permanent decisions based off of temporary feelings. That's my life lesson for this episode.
Good takeaway. But John thinks it's a load of rubbish. He also does not believe in love at first sight. But a few seconds later, he sees a girl pass by the cafe outside, and he seems to experience it because he runs out the door and trying to find her. So one down. There's
That
one
seems
down.
on par for John.
Well, it's funny though because in volleyball he had love at first sight because he was with
That
Tanya.
is so true.
Hopping.
Yeah.
What a liar.
Yeah.
What a liar.
Well, as we're not going to call John a liar because a lot of this was written for him.
What a
like,
liar in the sense in the S Club universe of these
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, the S Club writers are just all over the place. Maybe they had different writers for this episode and they didn't remember.
They
I
always
mean-
have different writers. Like that's what I mean. It's normal to have different writers, like in a writer's room. But I feel like these are one-off episodes, and they like didn't talk to each other about like what's happening throughout the series.
With bigger TV shows, I think that there are continuity people on it to make sure that things stay like that. So I think
Those
a lot.
continuity people suck because I could
Well,
go through
I don't
some
think
shows.
S Club had them. I think that's a US thing.
Right.
Because
Well, no, I mean for bigger shows, like if they do have continuity people, they suck.
well, maybe the person
Yeah,
that
so it's different. It's not like a drama show that like everything needs to be really buttoned up. Like this is a very different kind of show.
yeah premise, and this is a children's show, so they again, as we said in the previous episodes, do not anticipate 30-something-year-olds having a podcast about it 30 years later or 20 years later. So they didn't have that on their bingo cards.
No.
That is
So.
true. That is true. And then at the cafe, they get frustrated that their agent isn't booking them any good gigs. And actually, Jody mentions that she did do some acting before and that she does have an agent to recommend them. And we also learned that in the S Club universe, Jody was casted in the Charlie's Angels movie as the fourth agent, but she got cut after hitting Charlie and is also the reason we never see his face.
Huh.
Yeah, in the S Club
That's
universe, Jody was the fourth Charlie's Angel.
On the first day of filming, Charlie made a pass at me, and I kind of hit him, and he ended up in the hospital. So that's why you never see his face.
I love John.
And it also excuse as to why we never see his face.
S
I've
Club
never
writers.
watched Charlie's Angels, so.
Oh, it's such a good movie. It's very 2000s.
Well, I think she's probably referring to the TV show in like the 70s.
Well,
Not the
You're
movie.
right, not even the movie. Because the movie was 2000. You're right. Well, to be fair, I wasn't even like born, so like how I didn't even realize there was a TV show.
Yeah.
Moving
Alright,
on.
Moving on.
We're aging ourselves.
Yeah. S Club goes to the agent's office and find out his books are completely full for the next couple of weeks. But they need to see him right away, so they devise a plan by sneaking in, dressing up as other people who would be running errands. So Paul is a pizza delivery guy. John is delivering mail packages. Tina is delivering champagne. Rachel's delivering flowers. Joe is delivering a cake. Hannah's dressed as a clown delivering balloons. And Bradley was not listening to the plan, so he just walks in and asks the receptionist if she wants a piece of her burger. And then Paul comes and he's like, "You weren't listening to the plan, were you?" And he's like, "No." And he just like drags him
Typical.
with him. Yeah. So S Club, they crash Mr. Walters' meeting. That's the name of the agent. And they tell him that they're just going to sing him a song. Like point blank, we're going to sing you a song. And they end up doing a very quick clip of S Club Party just to give him a little taste of what they have. And once Mr. Walters tells them nicely to basically get out of his office, he's like, "Oh, that was great. Now get out." They mentioned that they are performing at a high school prom the next day. And it turns out that his son is a student there, but he mentions that he doesn't have a date to the prom. And Rachel's just kind of like, "Oh, what a shame," like whatever. And Mr. Walters is like, "No, like you don't understand. Like he doesn't have a date to the prom. He needs the date." And Paul says, "Oh, it's no problem. Rachel will go as his date." And Rachel's like super annoyed. And now Mr. Walters is interested in coming to the prom to see them perform because his son will have a date, which means that Rachel's very annoyed by the change of plans, that she will no longer be going to the prom with Sam. But Hannah tells her that she and the others will take very good care of Sam, which will be Tina, Joe, and Hannah. And it ends up that Sam is very happy about it. He's very happy to have 3 girls as his dates. And
how wrong could he be?
Yeah, like he has no idea what he's in for. And then Billy, who is Mr. Walters' son, he arrives to S Club's apartment and tells them that his dad is not coming because his books are full. But that doesn't stop Rachel from saying like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Like we'll still go to the prom." So they still end up going. And although it looks lovely on the outside, looking in of Sam having 3 dates, it turns out to be an absolute nightmare for him, as all 3 girls start taking turns on wanting Sam for themselves or giving him things to do. So there's like a scene where Joe's like, "I'm cold. Can you go get my jacket?" And no, she's like, "I'm hot. So take my jacket." And then Hannah's like, "Well, I'm cold. So can you like go get mine?" And then someone else is like, "I don't like this drink," or "Get me another glass of this drink." So he's doing errands all night long for these 3 girls, trying to make them happy. So that's fun to watch. And
I just remember Joe being really bossy during this. Like she was unsatisfied with anything that he was doing.
Which one?
Joe. Like
Joe
she was
and
just,
Tina.
well, I just remember
Hannah's with the orange drink. She wants something orange, but not orange juice, and nothing with bubbles. And like you're at a prom, you get what you get.
S-Club performed 2 in a Million during this episode, and during this song, John jumps out from the stage after spotting his love at first sight girl from earlier into the episode. And I'm pretty sure they spoke about this in the LA7 book as well, right? Like the song choice.
So Hannah is the one who comments on 2 in a Million, and she says, what better song could we have picked for a big snog up at prom in this episode? It was a massive hit for us in Christmas '99, and we still love performing it. Smooch Central, so it was a relief to hear that Rachel gets to be the high school geek's prom date and not me. So,
Love her.
Further proof that 2 in a Million is a love song, not a breakup song, Dale.
No comment.
Okay. Moving on, Jess.
Moving on. The episode ends with Mr. Walters coming up at the prom, and he sees them perform and decides to sign them up to his agency. And Rachel hits the dance floor with Sam, where Tina, Joe, and Hannah see that she is kissing their date. But in the end, she gets to go to prom with Sam.
That is scandalous.
It is scandalous because also like Billy's date. Rachel is Billy's date, but Billy ends up dancing with John's love at first sight girl. So it is scandalous.
Which proves love at first sight. You don't trust it.
Yeah.
But
Do any of y'all Do you have any other comments on Prom? I think it was kind of a forgettable episode. We didn't get anything new, like in terms of song choice.
You're right.
Well,
You're right. It wasn't a song.
So I think it's just kind of a cop-out.
My comment is, I know you've talked to John and Bradley in Chicago about that the band, really isn't that tall.
No.
And you can tell it in this episode standing next to Sam. Those boys are short.
Yeah.
Well, also, I will say that I have met Geoff before, and he is very, very tall. Like, he is, easily, 6'3". So he's also, abnormally tall. Yeah. So he makes everyone else look tiny.
I wonder why they made that casting choice.
Yeah, he's very tall. Maybe when he's next to the boys in the apartment, all the boys are here and he's up here.
He was probably a model in LA at the time, and that's probably why they took him. A lot of the boys that guest starred seem to be they were models or something.
Well, the girls too.
To your point though, S Club as a whole, they're all pretty short. The tallest one's probably Tina, Rose, Paul, and they were 5'7", maybe 5'7", probably. So
5'8".
I'm 5'6", so it's nothing. I expect them to be taller. So yeah, he's not competing with much.
Well, we know Hannah's short because of all the short jokes, but then Rachel is shorter than Hannah.
Tiny.
Yeah.
He's so small. And Joe's small too, but
maybe the S in S Club stands for Short Club. Short Club 7. Because they're all favorite theory.
So this is also an episode that, again, Rachel is used as a sex object. Because it's which I would feel offended if I was the other girls. It's everybody's oh yeah, Rachel will go with them. You're not going to offer any of the other girls.
Well,
I would kind of feel offended.
Rachel is the most gorgeous. I don't think that's really disputable at this point.
Right, but self-esteem wise, stop shoving the other girls down.
I think they realize that, I can't speak from a girl's perspective, but usually there's a pecking order in a friends group.
Pecking order. I'm laughing.
I don't know. I don't know, but there's, the most attractive and then
I think I could confidently say in one group that I'm in, we all know, oh yeah, it's actually my friend's name in this group is Rachel, and we're all oh yeah, Rachel. Rachel's it.
Katey, I don't think it's as outrageous as you think it is. Rachel is gorgeous.
Well, you're talking to someone who also was usually at the bottom of that list, so
Katey, I don't think you're at the bottom of any list.
Well, thank you.
Except for the worst S Club fan. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So that is that on the Prom episode. The next episode is Housesitting, and this is one of my favorite episodes from the season. I absolutely love this episode. So
this is my most probably forgettable, so I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Love this one.
Katey's being excised from the podcast, y'all.
Apparently.
So, Housesitting starts with rent day coming over their heads, and S Club panic when they realize they don't have any money, because that's a reoccurring theme in the S Club world, not having money. So S Club do what they do.
No one taught them to get a job.
No one, performing is their job, Katey. It's not their fault they're not getting
They're at the cafe every afternoon. No one can work.
It's not like they're ordering drinks and stuff. They're just hanging.
One day, doesn't someone get a job at the cafe?
This episode.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
You had 6 episodes to get a job. Come on.
Ugh. Well, after a failed attempt at hiding from her, she lines them up a gig at the house to house sit for them. So she's like, y'all can't get a job. I'm going to get y'all a gig to house sit for one of my friends. And she wants to get paid on time because Joni's that woman. She has mortgage to pay. She needs S Club to pay. So what if I ran Bradley over in episode 3? That, we're 2 episodes ahead at this point. We need to get this rent going. So Paul, Rachel, and Joe end up being the most sensible options when they arrive at the mansion, but they're taken aback by how massive the pool is. And they mention how they can't wait for the others to see the house. Debbie, who is showing them the property, freaks out and tells them that they are to look after the property in a respectful manner and that their friends are not allowed to come. So only Paul, Rachel, and Joe get to experience this gorgeous house with this lavish pool. Bring the House Down, it's played during this time, isn't it? Is it played during this?
Yeah, it's when they're like staying over. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bring the House Down is the song in this episode showing the large and lavish accommodations of where Joe, Rachel, and Paul are staying versus the tiny apartment with no food at the S Club apartment where the others are staying. So, like, I just want y'all to picture, like, a giant table with, like, food, like, laid down, and then, like, Joe, Paul, and Rachel are just, like, on opposite ends, and they have to, like, pick up a phone to pass the salt. So, although Joe, Rachel, and Paul are staying at the mansion with lots of space and great food, they miss the others and invite them to come over the next day for a small get-together.
Keyword is small.
Keyword is tiny. Like, just the 7 of them, that's how small it's supposed to be, because 7 is the perfect number of people for a party. Because, 1 can make a party, and it's 2 to get down. And then, like, the rest, like, do y'all get the reference?
But 3, you still get lonely. So
okay. I was making sure y'all got the reference. But Tina ends up inviting a biker that she likes, and Bradley invites a girl that he likes from the cafe after convincing her that he's not actually a waiter, but an actor doing method acting, and he was casted in the movie about a waiter's life. So this is where Bradley gets a waiter job, and he convinces a girl that he's just method acting. So things get out of hand the next day when the biker invites all of his biker friends to the party, and the girl that Bradley invited invites a ton of her friends as well.
pretty bold of them.
Yeah, this just is every party ever. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen Mean Girls, but that's also similarly. I think they watched this episode, and that's where they got the idea for the Mean Girls part, So... they invite all their friends. Everything ends up breaking. There's streamers everywhere, popcorn being flung all over the place, and the house is now an absolute mess. After waking up the next day, they see all the chaos of the disaster of the party that happened the other night. And before they have a chance to start cleaning up, Joni and Debbie arrive, and they completely freak out. They are beside themselves, Katey. They cannot believe what they see.
And, like, that kind of mansion has, like, multiple rooms. It's like, you can't clean that up quickly.
No. So, they freak out, but then the owner of the house arrives. And at first he yells at them and realizes how tidy things used to be and how he prefers the rock and roll lifestyle of being loose and throwing parties. So, the rock and roll star is actually this big black guy. And not someone you really see as a rock and roller. But I love that for him. Absolutely love that. And the song choice for this, of course, was Bring It or Bring the House Down. And Hannah comments on this one and she says, "Uh-oh, I'm in trub." The track that we sing in this episode where S Club throw a full-on party at a swank Hollywood rock star's mansion we're supposed to be looking after. It's a pretty upbeat tune which we all sing on. Those are Hannah's comments on Bring the House Down.
No, they don't.
I know what y'all are thinking. They do not all sing on it.
And they also don't perform it in the episode.
Yeah, it's just kind of played in the background, so.
It's like volleyball all over again with You're My Number One.
Yeah. So that is that on house sitting. Like I said, this is one of my favorite episodes. Like, I use a lot of the things, like I said, Rachel in the bed in all the different directions. Like, it's probably one of my most quoted episodes on World of S Club when I'm trying to do things like that.
It was definitely one of my favorites when I was a kid. Like, I would rewind that episode and just like play it from start to end all the time.
So I was, like, I think I discussed it earlier in the episode. I rewatched our natural episode. Like, I do quality control on the edits for the episodes. So I have to rewatch them after Zach finishes them. So I was watching it, and in the artistic differences thing, they have the house that, is collapsible, like the earthquake, and then it just shakes all the time. I think that would have been a good visual for Bring the House Down, because the house is literally going down. But instead, instead they perform Reach. I think Bring the House Down would have made more sense in that.
Actually, like, Bring the House Down in this episode should have been performed when the party's happening
Yeah.
Yeah.
versus when there's, like, nothing happening.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know the reason they do these things, y'all. I don't know. Do y'all have any last comments on house sitting?
My
Are
only
you gonna
comment is
sing
now that
the-
I'm annoyed that they didn't do Bring the House Down when there was the actual party taking place.
Yeah, it's fair.
So now,
But
I love
doesn't the song kind of fade out after the party scenes though? So it is played during it, but it fades out just as like the show goes into the next episode or the next day. I could be wrong
yeah,
in
but
making that up.
I meant like performance wise. No, I don't think it is. It's just like a regular like dance.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Like during the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a remix of one of the songs.
We'll never know.
I can't. Yeah.
Literally watched it last night, and it is did not
Ugh.
remember. It was just like a dance track, like the brown music of whatever music they're dancing to.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it was. I feel like it was like 2 in a Million remixed. Or no, maybe I'm thinking Prom. When they walked in the Prom, it was the 2 in a Million remix.
But yeah, I like
Yeah,
this episode.
I can't
It's
think
fun.
of now.
This is episode 8, Mr. Muscle. Paul, in his director era, decides that he wants to make a documentary on the band, although he has over 400 hours of footage, most of that being Bradley. He overhears Rachel telling Joe that she recently told a guy that she likes that she is part of the royal British family. So something that I think kind of ties over from Miami is that in Miami 7, they were also, directing their time in Miami, but it seems to also have carried over into Los Angeles.
I would love to have that film.
Yeah. I wonder how they would edit it.
also
So
think
Back then they wouldn't have.
I think back then, like, you would camcorders were so common, like you would just record anything and everything. But it makes sense for a band to document their rise to fame from the
for
very
the
start.
future documentary.
Yeah.
So at this point, Tina starts a new dance fitness class at Venice Beach where she meets a handsome guy named Ryan. So I know a handsome guy named Ryan. We're speaking
We
with
all
him
know a
later.
couple.
We know a couple handsome guys named Ryan. So John and Rachel hit the beach looking for the best possible spot to tan because they need that. I don't know if y'all know this, but Rachel has very glowy skin. And we love that for her. According to John's light meter, they find a spot, but they realize they're missing something. Ice cream. So after being given
Jealous.
too many flavor options, Rachel panics.
Kiwi, please. No, orange. No, cranberry. No, mango. Oh, I don't know.
In true Rachel fashion, because this is something that Rachel continues on into her real life. She has a very difficult time choosing. This is revisited in, y'all said that y'all don't follow Rachel's career or y'all are on S-Club mode, but Rachel does have a difficult time. Rachel has a difficult time choosing. So in one of her solo interviews in 2005, while she's promoting Negotiate with Love, an interviewer asked her to choose a nut, and she could not choose between cashew or dry roasted.
Favorite nut?
Cashew. Or dry roasted.
Make a decision.
No, both.
Come on.
Couldn't.
I remember that.
So Rachel has, they wrote it for her in the show, and that's Rachel in real life. She cannot choose. She doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So John and Rachel come back to find that their towels have been slightly moved to the side by Ryan, who they do not know yet. At his light meter also said that was the best spot to tan. Rachel ends up telling Ryan that John is capable of beating his butt if he doesn't move, in which Ryan accepts the challenge and tells John that they will be arm wrestling tomorrow to settle this dispute. I don't know what good arm wrestling tomorrow does, because if there's a dispute, you do it right there and then. But they're doing it tomorrow where the sun probably won't be in the same spot, Also,
they
who
have
has
to take advantage of being there.
Yeah, but also, who has a sun meter? Is that a real thing, Jess?
I've never seen anyone use it for
Now, y'all let us
suntanning
know in the
purposes.
comments if you've used a sun meter when you go to the beach. I've never, and this is a band from England, so how would they come across this?
Because England doesn't have the sun.
Unless they don't want to like get burned, but then that still doesn't make sense. I don't know.
I don't know. So the writings on the apartment door include protein, 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 Bradley, clean the bath, you muffin, Paul's video project, sign up here, bog off. So I guess Paul wanted a list of people who wanted to be in his documentary, and they're like, bug off, Paul. So that's funny. So John then tells the other S-Clubbers what happened and how he is a dead man. But Bradley says it takes months to train the whole body, but they just need to train his arm. Paul thinks this is the best plot to his documentary and takes interest. We see various scenes of John working out with Bradley, training him, and these scenes are hilarious. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're very hilarious.
Have you?
Yes, I remember them vividly because John, it's not working. Like, you can't train an arm in one day. Like, anyway. So the night before the match, while John makes out his will, as one does, Tina is on a date with Ryan, and she asks him to call off the match, but he refuses as he has told all of his friends about it, and he doesn't want to look like a chicken in front of them. To which Tina tells him that she can no longer go out with him as John is a good friend of hers. So this is another example of Tina being an excellent friend to the S Club boys, because in How Deep Is Your Love, John was trying to warn Paul of what a terrible woman that girl was, the scientist lady. So Tina's a good friend, and that's something that I'm glad that they kept, like, continuity-wise, that her character is constantly a good friend to the other S Clubbers. So good for you, Tina, if you're listening. Good for you. So at the match, we see John is struggling to beat Ryan at arm wrestling, but Ryan gets jealous. Ryan grows jealous of Paul getting very close-ups of John in his documentary. So Paul's just going around the wrestling match, but he's just focusing on John, trying to get the best possible shots. And Ryan demands that Paul get a close-up of him, which leads to Paul hitting Ryan in the eye with the camera. And in a brief moment of weakness, John beats Ryan in the arm wrestling match. And therefore, John wins the spot for tanning from the day previous. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't this arm wrestling thing done at night or in the late evening? No?
It's day.
Bright sun, like middle of the day.
Okay, so Ryan and Tina make up. They're besties again because, John won and there's no hard feelings.
I don't think you kiss your bestie like that.
Huh?
I don't think you kiss your bestie like that.
You don't know, Katey. I kiss my bestie like that all the time. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But
I don't kiss my bestie like that.
So Ryan and Tina make up, and they are all as well. Tina's consoling him on his loss because, this gorgeous man with muscles got beat by this scrawny little boy from England. But I wonder present day if John would win in an arm wrestling match against.
Oh, hell yes.
Do you think he would win?
Yeah.
Against Ryan? It would be an interesting watch. I don't know who would win. They both look very strong.
It's not as interesting of a plot point because now I think either of them have the capability of winning. I don't know. I've arm wrestled a couple of people and I always lose. So John, if you'd like to arm wrestle next time you see me, I am available. I always
lose.
It's a sure thing. So John and Paul doesn't no one has to hit me in the eye with a camera. I'll just lose like a man,
Who would win between John and Bradley?
Yeah, I was gonna ask this, Will. I think that's a difficult one.
Yeah, that'd be anybody's game.
John discusses Reach and shocker, S Club perform Reach. I just did a spoiler there. I was just about to get into something, but S Club performed Reach in the episode. And let me check something because they did this in Mr. Muscle. So, yes, the LA7 episode Mr. Muscle aired on May 25th, and Reach was released as a single on May 22nd. So it again coincided with the release of the single. So SClub were really good about this, like making sure the episode aired the week of the single release for like the extra push of promotion. They're genius. Genius. So anyway, John comments on Reach. He says, as you're probably aware by now, that Reach is not only the theme song or the theme tune to LA7, but also our brand new single out on the 22nd of May. It's the catchy, positive, uplifting song all about going for your goals, no matter how far they may seem, and achieving your dreams. That is John on Reach. So, yeah.
See, I wish they would have kept the routine with them doing the floor routine. Like, they performed it in Boyfriends and Birthdays and they didn't Reach. I think they did it one more time. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, they took that out. But I like that part of the dance routine.
What part specifically, Katey, is going over my head?
When, after Paul's line, the boys and Tina do like the dance routine on the ground.
Oh.
Like on their knees.
Yeah, I remember vaguely what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
But it probably got hard on the knees. It probably got hard on the knees, as we talked about last week. I don't think
Tina, you can tell in this one, she's got knee pads on under her capris.
Good for her, because it's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
The guys you can't tell because they're all in long pants, but Tina's got knee pads on.
Yeah, her pants are a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
So, do you have any final thoughts on Mr. Muscle?
I have two quotes that I love from this episode. The one is with Rachel and John and Ryan, where Rachel's like, he's going to beat your butt. And John's like, have you seen the size of him? I couldn't even reach his butt. And then there's another knock at Hannah being short with Paul when he puts the camera in her face. And he's like, what she lacks in inches, she makes up for in talent. And then she's like, bug off, Paul. But
so much bogging off in this episode.
Yeah.
I just love how they talk to each other. They're so mean, but it's like all with love.
Yeah.
It's my favorite kind of character.
Again, I really want to commend Tina for being such a good friend. So
10 points for Tina.
10 points for Tina.
See, I think what would have been a nice episode with them carrying around the camera. I mean, not that the camera's actually recording, but to them do like at the end of Viva when they got, famous, do like a mockumentary. Like the making of the band as the characters, not as the actual ones.
Yeah.
Like taking it through Miami, LA. Like, I think that would have been cool for them to do. Like to act like the band in the series.
Or just release that footage. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I love that.
So that is the end of our second episode for LA7.
Hey, thanks for listening to part 2 of our LA7 revisit. Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and be sure to catch part 3 where we cover off the last few episodes of LA7.
If you would like to follow Jess, you can follow her at It's Jess on Twitter. You can follow Katey at Katey_Carmen on Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow me at World of SClub on everything.
And of course, follow the podcast at the SClubBeat on all social media platforms. Also, if you'd like to talk to us more, you can join the SClub Discord at join.sclub.org, and we'd be happy to hear from you there.
You're listening to the SClubBeat with Dale and Katey.